right, and he's joining us on the River Islands guest line. Brian Baldinger is presented by our proud partner, Golden State Lumber and Showroom, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. Building better starts with Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit goldenstatelumber.com. Baldy, good morning. Spadoni, Shasky. We're rolling on the Niners this morning. We're kind of all over the place. Well, we were just, you want to go ahead, Joe?
Yeah, I want to ask him, like, you do hits all across the country.
Yeah.
And just as I listen to Philly radio the last couple of days, and I think about Niner fans and how we lose our mind, is every fan base in America, is their optimism on their team, big picture, directly correlated to how they feel about their quarterback situation at a given time?
That's probably the focal point of the chatter. You know, is he playing, is he, I don't know, Drake May? Is he Matt Stafford? Or is he, at the bottom, the way Jalen throwing an interception at the end of the game in overtime to win the game? So there's probably a direct correlation right there, Joe. I listened to enough of it. Although, Dallas is struggling, but I don't know if anybody is saying their struggles are due to Dak Prescott's play. Like he's sort of he would be the outlier to that conversation.
We're talking about it, and it's a great point, like Brock Purdy and the season he's had. He's had a crazy couple weeks. He has that stinker against the Panthers, 3 picks the first half, could have been more. Then he plays very in control, very just calm, cool, collected against a very good Cleveland defense. Now we got a bye week. He gets more rest on that foot. But the sense I'm getting from a lot of Niner fans is they're waiting for the playoffs now. Now it's not set in stone. Take care of business against the Titans. You look like you're probably going to be a playoff team, but they got business to take care of. Is that fair to view the success of this season for Brock just through a playoff lens, Baldy? Has he gotten to that point now where it's just all about the play? He's been to a Super Bowl before.
I know. And a championship game.
Yeah.
It's not really fair, but that's just how these guys are evaluated. It just is. I mean, Peyton Manning wasn't Peyton Manning until he won a Super Bowl. Like, he had playoff losses. He was at the very top of any, measurement, analytics every year. And he had Hall of Famers all around him. But the narrative, I hate that word, but the narrative, going back to Tennessee, he couldn't win a national championship at Tennessee. He couldn't win playoff games in Indy. And that traveled with him until he finally broke through. And it's just, that's why Aaron Rodgers is still playing. Like, he's not happy with one Super Bowl. He wants to be, measured like Eli and Peyton and others that have won multiple Super Bowls. And so it's not fair, but that's where it's come down to. And so the regular season, honestly, Joe Burrow could be the best quarterback in the regular season. In some years he is. But, the playoff record isn't great. Lamar Jackson. Like, I talked to Lamar about this. This summer I talked to him about it. Like, it haunts him. It haunts him. Like, you can win MVPs in this league and be the best athlete, the best player, the best quarterback, and you're not winning playoff games. Like, you're just not in that upper echelon of players.
I'm glad you said that, because I was so encouraged with the way he was moving against Cleveland. I thought that was that missing element that we've been waiting for really since week 1 against Seattle. Yeah. And I'm starting, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but Eagles, Packers, Rams, Seahawks, Bucks, these are potential places that you might play. Are any of those teams a team that this offense should fear if they had to go on the road and play there?
Well, if they came to Philadelphia, I mean, nothing feels good in Philadelphia right now. Like, they look beatable. They lead the league in 3 and outs. They go through long stretches without scoring. Every quarterback wants to be able to take their team down the field to win the game, whether it's the regulation or whether it's overtime. And the Eagles couldn't do that, and they had a great opportunity to do it the other day. Dropped a touchdown pass in the end zone. A.J. Brown got the ball right in his hands. Cam Hart, pulls his arm, tugs at it, and ball comes out. They don't look like they have that type of confidence. I do have that confidence in Matt Stafford. I do have that confidence in Jordan Love right now. I don't have that confidence in Baker Mayfield. We got to see if they win that division. Carolina and Tampa, they play, a couple of times here. We'll find out who's going to win that division. But if it was Bryce Young, I wouldn't have confidence in him. I don't know if, as good as that Bear-Packer game was, I don't know that anybody feels like Caleb can come down and win a game for you the way we want these playoff games to come down to. We want to see that drama, suspense. We want to see all of that like that we saw, in Green Bay the other day.
Brian Baldinger joining us here on the Morning Roast, courtesy of River Islands, our Odyssey NFL Insider. And to that point, Baldy, what should Niner fans be feeling most confident when it comes to this team? Like, this is basically playoff football at this point in December. What should they be hanging their hat on and feel most confident in heading into Levi Stadium against the Titans?
I would say two things. One, I think they're very well coached. So I don't feel like that's a team that if they get to the playoffs, when they get to the playoffs, that they're going to beat themselves. We could say that in years past, especially about special teams. I don't think you could say that now. So I think, one, they look very well coached. And two, they play the game really hard. And that McCaffrey's going to – if he gets to the playoffs right now, he's going to be at 400 plus 450 touches. You're still going to get the same effort from Christian. You might not get the breakaway runs that we saw 2 years ago, but I feel pretty good that he's going to get the ball a lot, and he's going to get over 100 catches this year. I feel those two things: well coached, and they're going to play the game hard. And they're not going to leave any playoff game, win or lose, where they're like, "Oh, we could have done this, we should have done that." I feel like they're going to leave it on the field.
Baldy, you bring up Christian, and I'm glad you did. We have these sports debates now that aren't what they used to be 10 and 15 years ago. Everything's so data-driven, and we look up their stats, and it's like, well, what about my eyeballs? Because when I'm watching the game with my eyes, he's carrying them at times, even though the numbers aren't robust. How would you, Brian Baldinger, who watches film across the league, explain to a data nerd how important and how great Christian's been for the Niners this year?
Watch Christian McCaffrey get up off the ground after being tattooed on his 30th touch of a game. He bounces up. Now, I know there's some running backs, Earl Campbell, some of these guys were just notoriously, it looked like it was going to be their last carry of the day. They got up slow. McCaffrey bounces up off the ground somehow. I don't know what he eats for breakfast, but I think that wears on the psyche of defenses. When you think, okay, instead of, we're going to break this guy's sword, that guy is bouncing up off the ground, ready to do it again. There's something about watching that guy's energy level that is very contagious to an entire team.
What has been the area that has most impressed you this year? Obviously, the amount of touches, especially the last couple of years, you and I going back and forth about how many he's received and wear and tear. And what's the most remarkable part of his season this year?
I guess he catches everything. He doesn't drop a ball. I just watched A.J. Brown drop 2 the other day. They pay that guy a lot of money to catch the ball. I'd never see Christian drop a ball. His hands and his eye and just the focus on the ball is as good as there is in this league. He can make any kind of a catch. He can run any kind of a route. He's an amazing receiver. And then I just think they basically created a brand new position for him in this offense a couple years ago that now other teams are all copying, where he's not a running back, but he's not a slot receiver. He's somewhere out there in space. And you really don't know what he's going to do from that position. But I feel like that position is the McCaffrey position. Then now you see James Cook doing it. You're seeing other teams kind of copying that. And why? Because nobody, if you're in man coverage, all right, because you're blitzing, whatever you might be, if you're too deep, man under, you're trying to keep the ball in front of you, there's nobody in this league, cornerback, safety, nobody wants to see McCaffrey in space. And that's why he's out there. You got all that space to be able to, and you got to handle that guy. And I feel like now, I think Kyle's the first one to really do it. And now I see other teams copying it with similar type players.
Brian Baldinger joining us here on the Morning Roast. And by the way, we are doing our Pat Spencer jersey giveaway. You got to be listening for the sounder. I played it a bunch this morning. So when you hear that sounder within the next 30 minutes, when you hear it, then you can be calling number 5 to the contest line. I'll give it out there. You will win a Pat Spencer jersey. Also, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give away another keyword for this hour for your chance to qualify to win either a Steph Curry, Draymond Green, or Jimmy Butler, the town jersey, Joey.
Yeah, Baldy, John Lynch came out the last week or two, and he's been talking about Brandon Aiyuk. And obviously, there's been a lot made about the voiding of the contract and whatnot. Both the coach and the GM have said, hey, we would welcome him back. How does that land in the locker room? How does that land with the coaching staff? Would they accept him?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they would accept him. He's one of them. Now, I don't know, and I don't know if anybody knows Mike Silver. Pick a guy. Like, what's the story here? What's the real story? I don't know it. But as a player, first of all, he's a dog. He's a warrior. He just is. He's a blocker. Like, he plays the game hard, plays the game the right way. Like, if any player thought, not just Aiyuk, that a guy could come into the locker room and help them win a game, like, roll out the red carpet, he'd be welcome back. Because, like, when I was in Philadelphia, we practiced. Our locker room was in the Veteran Stadium, right? So we were in the basement where the roof leaked, and all the executives were on the top floor. So we always sort of looked at a franchise. I'm just using this as sort of a metaphor. But every franchise has, all right, all the suits are upstairs, but all the dogs are downstairs. Like, I mean, we sort of take everybody in. We take them all. And they can, if you're a bad guy and you can't help us win, see ya. But if you're Brandon Aiyuk and you can help us win a playoff game or win a game down the stretch against Seattle, like, come on in. Here's the uniform. Here's your locker. There's, let me get you lunch. What do you want? I mean, there's just that sort of separation within an organization.
If he doesn't return and it's on his accord, at least by all sentiments, how does that land for his next location? Or does it not matter at all?
I think talent always wins out. If he can still run routes the way he did and catch the ball the way he did, impact games the way he did, somebody will take him. Somebody, whether it's the 49ers or it's somebody else. Like, he's good. He's going to be in the league. I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know if that impacts some of the decisions that have been made and some of the comments that have been said. But it really is yesterday's news, I think, Joe.
Baldy, we had a sound from John Lynch earlier, basically saying, like, he's been here for 9 years, which is crazy. Him and Shanahan, it's crazy that it's been 9 years already.
Yep.
And he feels like the franchise is the arrow's pointed up is the words he used. It's pointing up. Would you agree that, like, the next 2-3 year window, the arrow is up with this squad? Because there's a lot of trepidation, it feels like, within the fan base that this might be like a one-off kind of a year.
I think they're rebuilding and restocking as they grow. We've seen the impact of a lot of the young players right now, whether it's offensive lineman Dominick Puni or, whether it's, we got to see what Pearsall can become. But I feel like, defensively, you go draft 3 defensive linemen. I think they feel pretty good about it. Well, hopefully Michael comes back healthy. Nick and Fred are up there in years, but nobody thinks that, they've seen the best of those guys. They still have good years left. And so, we're seeing, linebackers step up right now and play. And so I feel like maybe they lose Robert Saleh in the coaching, carousel this year, but I feel like the staff is in good shape right now. And so I would agree with John. I'm going to be at the Senior Bowl this year, and I can bet that John will be down there looking at these guys. They had a good draft last year before. They need another really good draft with an elite, a couple elite players, whether it's receiver, whether it's a tight end, whatever it might be, a running back. Like, they need some top-level talent to come in and continue to grow this thing from the youth standpoint.
We're going to talk to Patrick Willis in a little bit here, Baldy. And, I'm sure you watched almost all of his games. I got the luxury of seeing his entire career firsthand. And he's just one of the all-time great gladiators I've ever seen. Never could come off the field. Broken hand, had a club. He's going sideline to sideline, taking on when they had fullbacks, blasting fullbacks, shedding blocks, and still making plays. If you were to explain to someone who never watched Patrick Willis play, how would you describe his style of play?
Well, what was amazing about Patrick is he comes in and he's first-team All-Pro as a rookie. Like, he's the best lineman. Like, he's wearing 52 to him because he wants to honor Ray Lewis, and he's basically better than Ray Lewis when he comes in. Like, it was all phases. Like, the one thing Fred was on talking to you right now, or Patrick, whatever. Like, the hard part about playing, like you could go find the ball All right, there's guys that have instincts to go get the ball. But this game is a passing game. So if you're going to be an every down player, you got to impact the passing game. But you can't turn your head around to see what's going on behind you. You have to know the route combinations from the formations, from the releases, to know what's going on in the hook curl, out there in the curl flat, where the safety fits in. And that takes time to learn that stuff. Patrick came in and looked like he coached it. Like, how did he learn that so quickly to be able to understand the passing game and all the things that go on in the passing game? How did he learn it so quickly? And part of that is to get depth in your drops, to give yourself more space to be able to see. Like, he got depth. Like, most guys stop after 3 steps and just start settling. But he seemed like he understood that phase of the game the day he came in.
Where does he stack up for you all time? That's a tough question. Eras have changed so dramatically. Fred's perfect for this era. Patrick was perfect in his era. But just as someone who has like a keen history of the league, where would you stack him up?
Well, it's changed so much. Like, Butkus was the middle linebacker that we all remember. Dick Butkus ran a 5-flat 40. Like, he couldn't play in today's game. And that's not a knock on Dick Butkus. The game, you're running. These guys are running in the 4.4s. Patrick Queen came out of LSU running a 4.4. Like, it's just a completely different game. But I don't know. Like, even if you said Singletary was, for a long time, that was the best defensive football, and he was the captain of that ship. Like, at 5'10", he was the best middle linebacker in football. But I think you got to go back. I mean, if you're going to start the conversation right now with Ray Lewis, which is where you should start it, like Patrick, if you had to say, okay, who's your starting inside linebackers in today 2025's honor roll? Like, you're going to go probably Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis. You're probably going to put those two guys side by side.
Oh, my God. I'm so happy we're talking to 9 and 10. We're going to play him all this, by the way. He's going to love every single second of it. No, it's true.
My jaw dropped.
And, that brings us, you brought up Fred Warner. Let's just say, hypothetically, Baldy, he gets back. Somehow, some way, second round of the playoffs, they're able to get Fred Warner back on the field.
Even if he's not 100%.
Even if he's not 100%. How big of a boost would that be for this defense?
Oh, that lift would be amazing. To see, it's like Willis Reed coming onto the court for the Knicks. It's just going to light everybody's hair on fire. First of all, just everything he does is contagious. So I think it takes everybody's play up. Playoff football is always different than the regular season to begin with. But if Fred stepped on the field in a playoff game and they're going against Seattle, honest to God, you can't get close enough to the TV to watch it. You want to go, if it's in Seattle, you're going to go buy plane tickets to go to Seattle. You're going to want to see it. You're going to want to remember the day that you saw Fred Warner come back from a shattered ankle and help the 49ers to a playoff win. The impact, I think everybody, every secretary is going to walk a little faster in their step coming into that building if Fred comes back on the field.
If he were to come back in that first wild card round of the playoffs, are they the most dangerous team in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of dangerous teams in the NFC. I mean, the Rams are going to be dangerous. Seattle's going to be dangerous. Whoever wins the North is going to be dangerous. I mean, that was a playoff game the other night in Green Bay between Chicago, and it was played like a playoff game. He's going to add to it, though. They're going to be, and especially if Fred comes in there and punches a ball out, because every possession is so valuable, so important. If he comes in there and he does one of his punch outs and the ball's on the ground and they get it, or he gets his hands on it, they're going to be tough to beat if that happens, something like that.
All right. I teased it earlier. Got to give away the keyword for this hour for your chance to qualify to win either a Steph Curry, Draymond Green, or Jimmy Butler, the town jersey. The keyword this hour, dribble. Text dribble to 20357. That's dribble to 20357 for your chance to win one of the 3 jerseys right now. This is going to be not a random one, but it's outside of the 49ers realm. Phillip Rivers, Baldy? Phillip Rivers is coming. Your old man, Phillip. The guy's a grandpa. He's a grandpa, and he's coming back. Is there a possibility he's the starting quarterback for the Colts when they take on the Niners next week?
Well, I mean, Riley Leonard, if he's healthy, I don't know. I mean, he didn't play badly the other day.
I liked him at Notre Dame, Baldy. I liked him at Notre Dame. I know he's not a great passer, but he really grew on me as the year went on. I know he can't throw.
Well, he was at Duke before he went to Notre Dame, and the Blue. I'm friends with them, and have gotten to know him a little bit at Senior Bowl, and then just doing some Colt games this year. But he had Duke at 6-0 before he shattered. I think he either broke an ankle or tore his knee. I forget what it was. And then he missed the rest of the season. Transferred, took him all the way to the championship game. Like he's a great athlete. Like he's one of these guys. If you step on a basketball court, like he's dunking it backwards on you. Like he's putting it in your face. He's a freak athlete. But the film really, like, first of all, when this was a 12 team, I'm at NFL Film, so the history of the league is right here. But there was a time when Sonny Jurgensen got traded because there wasn't enough good quarterbacks. There's never enough good starting quarterbacks. There isn't now. There's certainly not enough good backup quarterbacks. But if you're dipping into the pool of guys that have been retired for 5 years or 44 years old, he turned 44 on December 8th, Monday. It's not good. Like what happens is it's like this. I know he can still throw football, and I know he still knows how to read a defense, and he can have all the conversations with Shane Steichen about his high school team. But what goes on a player, and it's just not quarterbacks, it's your reflexes. Your reflexes aren't the same. It's like that's what happens to boxers. They can't parry a punch the way they once did. They can't slip that punch in the middle of the ring. The reflexes go. And it goes by age 40, it definitely goes in all sports. But, when you get to 44 and you haven't played and your eyes haven't seen it, like I worry about him just from a health standpoint. Like if he has to play Houston in the last game of the season for a playoff spot against that defense, like I might go back and coach my high school team. To hell with it.
As someone who knows the league inside out, like the only guy I can think of who stepped away from the game and then came back, Ed Too Tall Jones, but that was kind of like he was more.
Yeah, but like I know Ed stepped away when he was 30.
Yes,
for 1 year.
Yes, okay.
And Ed will tell you that year of boxing actually helped him.
Really,
it actually with all the punching he did. He said he wasn't a weightlifter. He was just naturally a big guy. But it strengthened his shoulders, number one. It helped his conditioning immensely, number two. He never came off the field. Huh. They didn't rotate back then. He played the whole game. In fact, if you go back and watch Joe's touchdown in the back of the end zone to Dwight Clark, he's thrown it over too tall, right? But he'll tell you that his shoulders got stronger, his conditioning got better, and his overall athletic ability improved. But he was a young man when he came back, and so that's not.
Did Vinny Testaverde, was he out along? Because I remember Vinny as an old man getting that call on the couch. It felt like every year. But he didn't sit out multiple years, did he?
No. In fact, I did. I think he was in it. He might have been 42. I did maybe his last game. And maybe it was in Carolina. I forget where he was. But he came in with a bad back. Like he couldn't stand up straight. His back went out on him. Well, and he's like, I go, how are you going to play? We're from Long Island together. We've known each other. Like, how are you going to play, Vinny? Like, you can't even sit down right now. Like it was just bad at the end. Your body, like, honestly, I like anybody that's played this game, you wake up and you're like, what did I do to my ankle yesterday? Why is it locked on me? And, 3 days later, you're walking normal. But this stuff just happens to football players. I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like if he does have to play.
He beat the Niners at 44 years old in 2007.
Oh my God! Of course he did.
44 years old. Yeah,
he was 44.
Yeah.
Was he in Carolina?
Yeah, in Carolina. Yeah.
I think I might have done that game, Joe. Honestly, I remember. I remember when he walked into the meeting. Yeah. Remember when he walked into the meeting? I'm like he was hunched over. His back went out on him. Like, how are you going to play this? I don't know.
Here's the best part. Yeah. During the game, at the time, Testaverde threw to Dante Rosario, and it became the passer-receiver duo with the largest gap between them, 20 years.
Okay.
to connect for a touchdown at the time. That's incredible.
All right, so he might break that record if he throws one to Josh Downs, who's probably 22 years old. They're a slot receiver right now.
They all pale in comparison to George Blanda.
He throws to Ty Warren, who's 21.
Yeah,
that might shatter the record.
Baldy, good stuff, man. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, let's do it, guys.